Welcome to the Tea Time Podcast, where it's all about taking a few healthy minutes each day just for you, with your host, Sharissa Bradley.
Hello and welcome back to another episode for the Tea Time Podcast. My name is Sharissa Bradley and I am so excited that you are here. On this episode, we are talking about sleep. And I feel like it is one of the most important topics that we just really never get to talk that much about because it feels as if sleep is something that is outside of our control completely. As somebody who suffered from insomnia from the time I was maybe 5 or 6 years old and struggled all the way until I was in my 30s with learning how to fall asleep and stay asleep and feel rested. Sleep is something that is one of the most important topics to me because when we sleep, we heal. When we are not sleeping, we are actively using all of our energy and all of our resources that we would otherwise use to heal. So when we're walking, talking, actively doing things, thinking, breathing, we're using all of our resources. When we sleep at night or when we get good rest, we are able to actually heal, and the body is able to use those resources to put itself to work to heal the body. So we can't really heal anything. We can't heal the inflammation, the autoimmune disease, the other issues, the stress, the pain that we're feeling in our body if we aren't focusing, or at least focusing a little bit, on getting quality sleep. Now, when I first started learning about this, I was in the crux of autoimmune disease, and the doctor that I had finally gotten to after years of waiting to get on an integrative medicine doctor's wait list, I finally got in. Their number one recommendation to me was to sleep more. At that point in my life, I laughed in the doctor's face. I had 2 children under 3 years old. I was still breastfeeding, and I was actively working as a psychology professor. At the time, there was no room in my life to add more time to focus on sleep. It felt like a joke. It felt like I've worked so hard to get to this office, to get to these people. I was paying cash out of pocket, and the thing that they were telling me to do was something that felt literally impossible to me. When I got home that day, after laughing in the doctor's face and saying, there's no way I could get any more sleep. I have 2 small children. You don't understand my life. You don't understand that I can't put more time in for sleep or rest or any of these things. To which they promptly replied to me, then you won't heal, then you won't get better, because sleep is something that is so important that if we're trying to heal autoimmune disease, we're trying to heal adrenal fatigue, and we're trying to heal these parts of our body, that is actually what is necessary, is to sleep. So when I got home later that day, I started looking up and digging into the research and learning how could I possibly have control over something that felt so outside of my control since I was a child. Well, I happened to stumble upon Dr. Sarah Ballantyne. She also at the time went by the Paleo Mom, and her website was thepaleomom.com. She is a actual doctor who was actually doing the research and could show me with scientific evidence that sleep is something that we could actually learn how to do better. Or what she said was that sleep is a learned behavior. Again, when I first learned all of these things, it felt like so outside of what I could even do. I didn't have any control over how many times my children were waking me up in the middle of the night, or what time they went to bed, or what time they were waking me up in the morning to be ready for the day. So all of these things felt outside of my control. That's when I stumbled upon Dr. Sarah Ballantyne's sleep training guide. It was 6 weeks long. It was a printout. You got all of these little workbook sheets, and you actually tracked your sleep and found out where things could get better. She also recommended something that I should have thought about, or at least had some sort of crossover, but it never crossed my mind, and that was a bedtime routine. And like I mentioned, I had 2 small children at the time, and a bedtime routine was something we followed religiously with our children. And we always did the same exact things every single night. We did the dinner and the bath and the books and the songs and the tuck-in, and we did it at the exact same time every single night. Well, it turns out that we as adults are just as trainable, and it is exactly the same. What she recommended was to create this bedtime habit that started to prime the body to fall asleep. Then there were more tools to stay asleep and how to stay in bed longer and extend that period of being able to rest. I followed her program, and it's been now about 6 or 7 years of actually laying in bed, and by the time I am ready to go to sleep, I go to sleep. This was never my life. For 25 years, I would lay in bed for 5, 6, 7 hours at a time, never having fallen asleep, and then get up when my alarm went off. I was averaging most of the time, all the way up until I was all the way in my 30s, between 4 and 6 hours of sleep, and it would never be in a row. And I thought that that was okay and that that was normal. But what my doctors at that point told me was that because I wasn't getting enough sleep, I wasn't able to repair the tissues that were damaged. I wasn't able to alleviate the inflammation in my body because I wasn't allowing myself the rest time or the healing time. I learned from Dr. Sarah Ballantyne that it is something that we can learn, it is something that we can change, and I myself have implemented those tools. I wrote about some of them in the book about learning how to create a bedtime routine, and I highly, highly recommend this because, like last week when we were talking about stress and the physiological effects of stress on the body causing disease and inflammation and adrenal fatigue, when we add into the equation optimal sleep, we start to heal and feel those things like energy and our mental clarity coming back to us. And it may seem impossible. It absolutely did to me. And it took years of practice, and I had to do really hard things like no phones in my bedroom ever, no TV in my bedroom ever, no screens for at least an hour before I went to bed. Because you will find when you do this research for yourself that our hormones need to not have certain light after a certain time, and we need to not have any caffeine in our body at a certain time in order to do this bedtime routine and to be able to fall asleep and stay asleep. If that is something that you're struggling with, I highly, highly recommend, first of all, tracking. Where are you at? How many hours of sleep are you getting a night? And how is that affecting your day? And then, if you can, start implementing some very basic routine type structures that you do every single night before you go to bed. I also had a client a long time ago who struggled with insomnia, and it became almost like her bedroom was this thing that was really feeling bad to her because she just knew that she was never going to be able to fall asleep. And in that case, what I recommended for her was to change things up a little bit, because we have to get those stories out of our mind that we won't ever be able to fall asleep or we won't ever get past the insomnia. And maybe that's changing the sheets or changing the bedding or adding some new things into the bedroom so it feels different when the body walks into the room, and that priming can take over and say, oh, I'm getting ready for bed. Maybe it's a teeth brushing, a shower, or face routine or book routine of some sort. All leads up to you going to bed. If you do these things on a regular basis every single night, the body starts to prepare itself to sleep. It starts to learn the same way that children learn when we create a bedtime routine for them, that now it's time to wind down, and the body starts to understand, oh, this is the time that I'm going to get to rest and repair. So from the book, I recommend tracking over the next 10 or so days. And then from there, see if there's something that you can develop for yourself that makes the most sense for you and your lifestyle, that can be repeatable every single night to help to prepare the body for this new habit of falling asleep, staying asleep, and waking up rested, because it truly, truly is the foundation for all of healing. I really hope this helps, and I hope that you are encouraged to learn how to sleep better. And I will see you on another episode next week. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'll see you soon. Bye.
Thank you for spending your tea time with us. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode.